Good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me to this conference in which I am really very much interested in the last few years. So I'm going to talk about a new topic which we created right now. It's called infranomics. Maybe you didn't hear this word. And we call it a discipline of disciplines. So when dealing with evolutionary system, critical infrastructure, Internet of Things, space technologies, the way how then we are addressing the new topics related to geopolitics and integrating technical solution, maybe sustainable solution, into a geopolitical context. So there is a need to have a new approach, a new way of looking. And that is now what we call the infranomics. In the field of infranomics, we are also dealing with concept like resiliency, which is a derived concept from sustainability now. But also we talk about fragility, we talk about vulnerability. So then these issues are fully addressed to the problem of energy security, as Paul just mentioned, but also going to satellite vulnerabilities and space debris, which are becoming a very, very important topic. How to deal with these issues when they are not only technical, they are political, they are regulatory, how to address the issue into a new way. So I've been working on this concept with friends from European Commission, people in Brussels, and we realized that for the new task which Europe is faced, related, for instance, for energy security, the classical models on energy economics, equilibrium models are not enough to define strategies and approaches to what they call now energy security, for instance. So we dealt with concepts like risk and risk governance, resilience governance, vulnerability and resilience, and today people move the vocabulary not only to sustainability, risk, vulnerability, resilience, but fragility, anti-fragility. And a few years ago, these concepts were just on the table of scientists or people who are trying to bring a new approach. Today, all these concepts are embedded into government documents. Now we speak about resilient society. Everything is resilient today, when maybe years ago everything was about how to approach risk-related issues. So I will try to give a definition of infranomics, to deal infranomics within the concept of meta-systems. What are the basic disciplines which today they are contributing to this new domain of infranomics, and introduce concepts and give examples, what is called tangibles and intangibles. So the infranomics, probably it came because also people are used to concepts like economics, socionomics, and that term, infranomics, was really invented in a meeting like this, somewhere in Rotorua in New Zealand, just discussing about a resilient solution for a country like New Zealand. So we realized that now when we deal with these issues, complex issues, we are not dealing only with economic subsystem, technical subsystem, but in the same time with legal framework, political framework, and we have to integrate all this into a totally new manner. So where the word or concept of infranomics come from? It's about infrastructures, support vital societal technical function, and nomics, from the Greek name, which is a set of rules. What are the set of rules to integrate infrastructures in a general sense? We call also today critical infrastructures. The critical infrastructures are so complex, are not only related to energy transport, but education is part of critical infrastructure. Europe considers satellite space system as a critical infrastructure. So you see how to integrate all these things when the interdependencies are important. And at the level of interfaces between this infrastructure, there is no owner, there is no regulator. Just when something happens, the governments have to solve the problem. So we thought that the discipline of discipline will be studying the meta-system. Why infranomics? It's a need for a systematic approach to the understanding of all the interrelated aspects related to critical infrastructures. We are going to deal with aspects which are tangibles and intangibles, issues which are to be solved through concordance, discordance, and we need a new way of approach, a platform for decision-making matters. So infrastructures, I just mentioned just before, a few of them, but they are evolving. There are multiplicity of actors involved and no master for this infrastructure, particularly when it comes to interfaces, getting smarter and more interconnected, then emergence of the meta system, from underlying resources to the vital core of topics to be addressed. So if we speak about infranomics and infrastructures, so infranomics disciplines, theory, assumptions, models, method, tools, which maybe the group here in COFES might be interested to see how they can adapt, integrate, and do their developments. One is the meta system, is technical system, stakeholders, resources, mind frame, and constraints. All these are now when they define this meta system. The meta system is defined by technical components, hardware, software, and so on. Stakeholders is very important. Resources, money, natural resources, intellectual property, mind frame, mentality, mood, cultural traits. Constraint set, legal, standard, international rules. So, body of discipline supporting the analysis and decision-making regarding the meta-system, they deal with a set of theories, and then conception, design, development, finally to the resilience of meta-system, and today, anti-fragility of meta-systems. You see, this concept, they evolved. And of course, we developed some tools and methods specific for resilience, specific for fragility. And as we developed in the past tools for risk and risk acceptance, however, introducing the concept of risk governance, now we have been working to resilience acceptance, resilience governance, fragility things, with adopting appropriate analytical tools and visualizations through software, kind of product you are dealing with. So the infranomics disciplines, engineering, economics, political science and foreign affairs, socioeconomics, management and governance. I will give some specific examples about this political science and foreign affairs. You'll ask me, why are you talking about this engineering and political sciences? Where it comes from? We are in the 21st century, and I think engineering is nothing. Political, geopolitical is everything. Engineering, people can do it. How you can manage all the things together. I exaggerate on purpose to highlight, the needs, to put into the new concept, into the new perspectives. Engineering, economic, and interrelationship among infrastructure and stakeholders in a multinational, multi-jurisdictional context, and that is more actual in the framework of European Union. There are so many 27 countries with different rules, different languages. You cross the borders, you speak another language, and all these kind of things. And maybe now also we have to understand in the context of globalization also we have to see all these things in a different manner. So if we come and characterize these meta indicators or topics like tangibles and intangibles, so the issue is how to deal with this, how to put them together in order to make appropriate decisions, which might be sustainable, although the concept of sustainability is very complex today. 15 years ago, I launched the first international journal, Sustainable Development. So I pretend I know a little bit what happened with this sustainability over the many years. And also now I'm running a journal, International Journal Critical Infrastructures, and another one, International Journal System of Systems Engineering. So all the things together makes me think and come to some different conclusions, because I am faced with every week with dozens of papers and new way of looking, and I'm forced to think to see how also to give direction to these journals, and at the intersection of these three journals, there are the topics related to infranomics. Sorry. So when it comes to, just want to go back. When it comes to these tangibles, physical and logical elements, technical attributes, environmental condition, prices, affordability. When it comes to intangibles, it's about mood, it's about mentality, it's about mindset, it's about politics, the role how the business actors are playing, and all this together, they defined right now the new environment of making proper decisions. And the question for people like us, how we design this system. Sometimes we said, okay, a pipeline, you know, that you need money to have the pipe. Money now, what is the problem with money? You can find money, you know, in the market, but then you have a lot of other problems, political problems, environmental problems. You cannot put a pipeline between Canada and South United States, not to speak about pipelines in Europe. President Bush said that America is addicted to oil. Europe is addicted to gas, I tell you. And the whole world is addicted to change, whatever change means. So addiction is everywhere, and how you treat addiction and how you model addiction, because now we have to model addiction, not only oil and gas and all these kind of things. So approaches, we can define what is called the positive infranomics, and the normative things we have to define up front in order to see how we design our system, theoretical infranomics, empirical infranomics, and all these things together, they create a platform for looking in a different way of these issues in the context of new threats. If years ago electricity was important, information age, internet of things, space age right now, all these are so much interrelated, not to speak about, you know, undersea internet cables, and so which are vulnerable, which with the space, Chinese, they kill their own satellites, and then we see how the vulnerability of the space, so then you create debris, you really have big problems to use orbits later on. And then how to deal with that? You know, why Chinese did it, and then Americans tried to do a replica, and then everybody now is afraid of Iran using nuclear arms, but also they have intercontinental, interballistic capabilities, they can kill satellites. And then if that satellites are killed, so a lot of orbits are going to be blocked for centuries. So this is the new way to look, in relation to resilience, we work on resilience. I just came a few weeks ago, a new book on infranomics, then energy security, critical infrastructures. So I would say my recommended infranomics, because I've been working a little bit in the last few years on these topics. So again, you know, I have to say thank you to Brad for inviting me here. So these issues are being addressed globally at the level of Davos conferences, and Davos is bringing new global risk and interconnectivity, interconnections in the sense of infranomics. Risk and trends and Industry 4.0 is a new issue, which now it was even mentioned before. So that through Internet of Things, smart factories, smart manufacturing is also leads to the need of a new, totally new approach. Intangibles now, because I took this in the last few minutes just because it's in actuality, isn't it? You see, intangibles. Madame Merkel, she is really afraid of dogs, but on purpose Putin brought this dog there. Is that tangibles or intangibles? How you make politics on that? How do you model in our analytical differential equations things and so on? But this is going on. The problem is how to integrate all these critical infrastructures and to see in a tangibles, intangible matrix how we evolve United States, China, Canada from being less vulnerable to go into higher vulnerability. And you see how the countries, at some time China, Russia, United States, they almost parallelly, they develop the same attitudes towards resilience or infranomics approach, put it that way. The problem in Europe, because addiction to gas, is a fight of pipelines. You see the pipelines. How we are going to design the pipelines is a need how to integrate tangibles and intangibles. And this is a new method we developed in order to see which corridor of pipelines are we going to choose from Caspian Sea to France or Austria or wherever. Should be through Russia, should be through Georgia, but Georgia had geopolitics, should be through Ukraine. Yes, look around now. Is that possible to be so easy? We have problems, the whole Europe, the whole world has a problem right now. You never know. And how to deal with that is a need to see. You see, even here we made some applications. It's a need of new way of looking to integrate tangibles and intangibles, not only money and engineering, but also geopolitics, mindset, military aspects, the power. Thank you.
I get the first prerogative of asking the questions, but before I do, I want to let everybody know here that all of the presentations will be available to you after COFES when I get back home. On the COFES website, you'll have to log in with the username and password that we had given you, and it'll be in, when you log in with your username and password, something will pop up where there's a option that says resources, and it will be there. So you don't need to furiously write. I know Adrian put a lot of stuff on the slides that bears deep examination, and he just sort of flashed it at you. Some of the stuff Adrian will be talking about on Friday in the Center for Understanding Change tech suite in the morning. So with that out of the way, for the people who came in late, the password for COFES Public is COFES 2014 or 2014, lowercase. But my question to you on this infranomics thing, you've given us essentially a new science. Who's going to use it, and what are they going to use it for? This is intentionally a dumb question, but you know, who in an organization or who where, why, how are they using this? The fact that this science exists, who does it affect, and how do we need to think about it?
Thank you very much for the question. I think to give a fast answer, so now, at least in Europe, people, for the topic of energy security, they are trying to use and to understand the complex problem of energy security in Europe, and I did show you these pictures, looks through new way of integrating classical models, but interactions of different new methods. I will come back to this answer for Europe, just giving an example for United States. We have been involved in the new generation of airspace systems, where integration of drones and the need for increasing the capacity of the system. So we had to develop it was called serious gaming, a new approach to see how we can calculate the risk of this new national airspace system, not using only analytical models, but using what we call serious gaming. And we were able to bring numbers. What is the risk of the new integrated system by the year 1215, 1220, 1225, because they wanted to have, NASA wanted to have such it was a contract. Coming back to the European discussion, showing to our colleagues in Europe about this technology and integration of model, software visualization, and topics of infranomics. Now they are using for energy security approaches to this through this serious gaming, So integrating all the elements, tangibles, intangibles. So I think I gave you an answer who are really interested, and practical things I've been involved. I presented the things in China, and people are trying to play around to see how this infranomics could be involved in a very consolidated international project sponsored by Chinese. It's called Integrated Risk Governance, where infranomics is part of the new approach.
Up, the question is, have you reached break even yet? And I suppose with infranomics, the question would be, is there a case in which this meta modeling has solved a problem that was totally insolvable elsewhere? Have you had anybody submit that article to the journal yet, the actual case study where it's worked?
I think these next generation airspace systems, I think that is a case which really went through this, and we did it through a doctoral dissertation. I can send you this dissertation, and then we published some papers based on that. So I think that is a good example. And we also developed software for energy security. We did case studies published in the book Energy Security. I just indicated trying to put all the things together to see, is that possible to be energy sustainable in Europe, what they call 20-20-20, in the year 2020 to have 20% electricity by renewables, and I don't know, whatever 20 comes from. And we try to show, using infranomic things, it's a good wishing platform, but maybe you cannot make it, But we say in America, fake it before make it. So anyway.
Usually, our ability to deal with a fuzzy situation depends on how well we conceptualize what the problem really is. And so my question is, how confident are you that your conceptualization called infranomics is going to be robust enough to deal with the situation?
Thank you for the question. I'm not confident, but who is confident nowadays? I am not confident in 2 hours could not start the Third World War or something like that. I exaggerate on purpose, because when we talk about this new type of tools and approaches, it's changing the mindset for, let's put it that way, operation research kind of models where you look for optimization and you give answer to questions like you are posing. And that maybe in engineering is quite a lot of needs for that. When it comes to the problem which are fuzzy, rough sets, it's indistinguishability. I don't know the word exactly. So we don't know, what is coming. We know that a quadruped is coming. Is a horse, is a donkey, is a mule, or a zebra. But something is coming. Can I optimize that? I don't know. For the moment, I think this is the kind of problems we are addressing, and the confidence in this is just an exercise, is just a platform, is a new way of integrating mindset, way of thinking, and I would not answer that this is a confidence, and the approach could be in a classical way of designing systems which are optimal in the sense of mathematical constraints.
Adrian.
Yes.
One of the things that, the reason I asked you the question earlier is I wanted to point out that all of what we're doing in the DaS Symposium and all of what you're doing with Infonomics and what we're doing with the Center for Understanding Change is about getting a better handle on the choices that we have in front of us and improving the likelihood that we will get to where we want to be, or at least not where we don't want to be. And the whole idea behind what you're doing in Infonomics is to get the people who are making decisions to have another tool to grasp the complexity of the decision framework and to get an idea of what the impacts are likely to be. And I think with that, we want to hold conversation on this to the end of the first three, and we'll move to the next presentation. Paul?
Thank you.